Hi, I'm Sally Mildren, the host of Bring Your Own Chair, a CX Accelerator podcast. Our guest in January canceled, but I had something to share with all of the professionals, the up and coming folks who are looking to grow in their career, for those who are advancing or recently been promoted or whatever. I want to share a few really practical tips for managing your time and prioritizing. Because in order to be truly successful in customer experience, in management, in any of the tasks that come before us, we have to be able to protect our time, manage it, and prioritize what deserves our focus and attention and what does not. Do you ever feel like you're constantly running out of time? Or maybe you have some big things that are coming up that you're like, I don't know how to do that. So you keep shoving it out of the way and distracting yourself with all kinds of other things. If you've ever done that, raise your hand. That's me. And in 20 years of corporate leadership in hospitals and systems for over a team of one or 100, there's constant prioritization taking place. You've heard us talk a lot on the podcast about demonstrating your value as a CX professional, and that is critical. But if your personal habits and attention to detail don't also align with establishing that value, you will unknowingly erode your trust. And so, if you can learn a few tips on how to organize yourself, on how to block your time, on how to manage and prioritize work, then you will become even more valuable and you will be recognized as a leader and a trusted, positive contributor in the organization. So, where do we start? How many of you have heard the sentiment? Well, if you're having a hard time prioritizing, just say no. Okay, that's not really very helpful information, because what if it's your CEO who's asking, or your boss's boss, or a member of the board asking? You can't just say no to everything and anything. And really, the truth about saying no is that if you don't have clarity on what your most important priorities are, we've talked about that in other episodes of really what is the key business imperatives that your work is aligning to. What are the most important measures that are going on in the organization that you are rolling your work up to support? Those are your highest priority. Without a clear understanding of what your most important priorities are, what is your purpose, saying no becomes mushy. Because if you don't know what to say yes to, it's harder to say no. So, before you start trying to manage your time and prioritize your projects and your work and knowing what you should or shouldn't work on, the other thing that is really helpful from a practical standpoint is putting blocks of time on your schedule to do work, especially if you're in middle management. You end up with 9 meetings a day and no time to do your work. And so then you're trying to cram it in early or late or weekends. I would say that the number one thing that you need to do is take control of your calendar. Sometimes the meetings aren't necessary. If you get the agenda to a meeting and you see that there's nothing that is relevant to your position, you may just say, hey, I have a conflict at this time. Could I provide you an update in writing, or is my presence really critical here? Again, if it's your boss calling the meeting, you've got to come. But often there are so many meetings about meetings that you end up getting drowned in unproductive time that just you either leave that meeting feeling, ugh, that was a terrible meeting. It could have been an email, or you leave that meeting with more work, which again has to be weighed against the litmus test of your most important priorities. Make sure that you are vetting what meeting requests are coming to you, and then put blocks of time on your calendar. I have used this my entire career. In fact, in at my agency, Clarity PX, we have created 2 days where we try to put all of our meetings. It's hard sometimes, but with a fully remote team, we have indicated that our team will be available and working on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's not a day that they can opt out of on the regular. And we have scheduled all of our team meetings, our agency meetings. We have tried to schedule our client meetings in those times as well. And so it's important that maybe if you're able to, you can protect one day, but see if there's not something you can do if you have control of your schedule to block out a day or two or big blocks of time that are project time. Then the people who are inviting you, you could say, I'm not available on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, but make that not available for meetings. They'll find a time around you. And if it absolutely can't find another time and it's a critical meeting, then you could fudge once in a while, but try blocks of time. If you know you have a board report or a monthly report every month, block out the time, pull all the analytics, block out the time to write it, block out the time to update your template or your PowerPoint. Make sure your dashboard time that you've got it blocked into your schedule and that you've created time to be able to meaningfully lead your area. And the other thing is if you have staff, make sure that you put a little pocket of time on your schedule to prepare in advance for your one-on-one meetings with your team. I can't tell you the number of years as a manager that I showed up to those meetings not prepared and just like, okay, what do you have for me? And I just shot off the hip. But the risk you run with that kind of behavior is that you don't meaningfully evaluate and take a look at the work that's happening. If you don't take time to intentionally prepare and think about, spend 15 minutes, go for a walk around the block of your building and consider the positive ways that individual has contributed to your team, your work, your efforts, morale, whatever, then what ends up happening is as a manager, you only end up bringing the corrections or the mistakes or the new assignments, and you don't meaningfully consider their value and express that, because that is a key thing to employee engagement. So let's talk about maybe undecided on the calendar, those invites, yes, no, undecided. Maybe is an answer, but it means no for now or not now. So don't live your life by maybes, because guess what? They take just as much mental energy to manage and keep alive than a yes. And so, what you need to be able to do, again, going back to your purpose, your highest priorities, is saying, I can't make that work this time, but let's either parking lot it or schedule it out for another time in several weeks. So don't live by maybes. That's not good for you. Every morning or the night before, some people do the night before to brain dump so that they don't take all that stuff home. Each morning, pick one or two, three at the absolute max, one or two priorities that have to happen today, and focus on those things. No one can accomplish a to do list of 20 things in a week. I mean, there are a lot of time studies that estimate you can really accomplish two or three things in a week's time. So break that down into little bits. So then I was like, whoa, I got to get my bum in gear here and figure out how to organize. So I took every big assignment and I broke it down into mini assignments that I would accomplish at certain intervals in the week or in the month, as the case may be. If it were a big paper or a big project, I would assign small bits of it so that I was making incremental progress toward that big thing and not up all night the night before. So, the same idea with your daily work. If first thing in the morning you just spend even 5 minutes to write out the priorities for today, don't make it stuff that's due in a quarter unless it's one little piece of that stuff. If it's the third of the month and you have an end of the month report due by the 25th, make your little incremental assignment this week to get your template set up and ready for the numbers. Do something to move you toward it. Assign somebody else to collect the data, whatever it is that you need to do. Prioritize one or two things each day that are really important for you to get done. The other things are nice to haves, and yes, they will get pushed off, but if you can really tackle those priority things each day, that will help you quite a lot. How many of you have things that have drugged from to-do list to to-do list to to-do list to to-do list? So we use a project software called ClickUp. It's like Monday or Trello or whatever, lots of Asana, and it's an endless list of to-dos. If those don't get assigned a date, dead in the water. Nobody even knows that they exist. So it's kind of that thing. But then we also found a way to get those to-do lists as banners at the top of my calendar. I hate that because then I've got like 12 things to do and it stresses me out. So for me, I have also a notebook where I pick from those things, what do I have to get done today? And that helps me then be realistic with my time, and it helps me be productive on the most important things. Now for all these other things that move from list to list to list and never seem to get anywhere, I would challenge you to stop and say, are these really a priority? Are they a maybe? If they're a maybe, put them on a parking lot list somewhere else. That's an idea for later that you still want to review again, but create some kind of something that isn't a to do list every day. Otherwise, it depletes your energy. It starts to kind of make you feel like, crud, I didn't get to that again. If it's not a priority, it's a maybe or it's a no. Some of that stuff just needs to delete. So create a separate parking lot and leave it out there. Put a time on your calendar, maybe once a quarter, to review your parking lot and see. Or if you're stuck on a problem and trying to brainstorm, go, oh, maybe there's something on my parking lot. Go look at it, see if there's anything there that resonates to this project. And if not, stays in the parking lot. So use your parking lot so that you're not draining your energy and you're not constantly beating yourself up that you didn't take enough time. Sometimes in our schedule, in our to-do lists, in the things we adopt, it really is based in people pleasing. I said it. Okay. It's hard in a corporation or in a company to feel like, CX, marketing, call center, customer service, those are kind of the hub. And it's hard sometimes to know, who am I accountable to? Of course, you want to be a good collaborator and team member. Of course, you want to build good relationships, and that is important. But it's also important that you protect your time. Now, how many of you know that person that is a total energy drain? They don't come and add to you, they don't come with great ideas, they don't come seeking productive collaboration. They want someone to vent to sit and shoot the breeze with, or to avoid their own work with. So, those are the people that you need to be really careful with because they will drain your time, they will drain your energy, and frankly, they will misguide you. Typically, those ones are going to be full of gossip, and I have been that person before. It's a lot easier to judge other people than to develop ourselves. So, if you find yourself in a little gossip cycle, time out and ask yourself, "Ooh, where can I grow? What else do I need to do better?" Take that focus off of other people and what they can or don't or won't or haven't or couldn't, shouldn't, whatever. I've been there. It's not good for you. And instead, focus on how do you develop yourself? Maybe the development is, okay, how do I take what happened and make lemonade out of it? Maybe it's, how do I not let that affect my energy? Maybe it's, I am going to create professional boundaries in relationship with this individual that's got me all stirred up. I'm going to forgive them and I am going to keep my focus on the most important work. So be sure that you aren't staying small or that you aren't being routed off course because of other individuals. Don't people please with your calendar. What does that mean? If it's your boss, you don't have to just say, "Oh, yes, sir," right then, and then blow up 12 other people's calendar. You just need to be responsible and professional and say, "Yes, I'm really excited to talk about that with you. I have a meeting scheduled with 7 other people at that time. Is there any other time you have available?" It's important that you are honest and that you speak your truth. So, I talked about that person. And part of that thing is to prioritize your time and the energy that you give to others. There were always in every organization I have ever worked for. I'm more of a solution person, more of a glass half full person. And I'm empathetic and I want people to feel understood and heard. And that gets taken advantage of because the people who want to just come and complain would find me and they knew that I would listen because I was trying to be polite. But what it began to do was give me a reputation that I'm aligned with all these complainers. So that's important that you prioritize how your time and your energy is being spent and how much of it you give to it is hard for us to get to vision and imagination when you're just pulled thin and too busy. So make sure that there's a little bit of time in there. And guess what? Eat your lunch, take a walk, s- go to the gym, do the things that are necessary for your best health. When you get so busy at work that you cut that out, guess what? You're going to burn out. And how do I know? Because I did it. I went to the gym faithfully every morning. I'd get up really early. I'd go to the gym. I'd shower and change at the gym, get all ready for work. I would drive to work and I would be there by 7:40 probably. Still very early. But as stress grew and as I got more insecure in my job, I thought, well, I just need to work longer. So I came earlier, stayed later, stopped going to the gym. And guess what? I got more and more insecure. I was unhealthy. I was exhausted. It didn't work well. I burned out. And it was the lack of prioritization of my own physical needs that I believe was the primary driver for my mental health, my physical health, and my effectiveness at work. You can't just grind longer and harder and expect that you will be doing your best work. So you can't be present if you're burned out. You can't be innovative and imaginative. You get a little testier. You take things personally. It's not a good spin. So if you're feeling any of those things, if you feel a little called out by that, stop and take time to acknowledge you're not a machine. You can't do everything. You have to take care of your health, prioritize your family, your relationships, your health, and you will be a far better professional Make sure you take care of yourself. And that is the biggest professional advice I can offer you on prioritization, on time management, and on honoring and protecting your time. If you are taking care of your health, you bring your very best to the workplace. Work will take less time, it will be more inspired, it will be more collaborative, and you will be more effective and more successful if you ensure that you're taking care of all that time. So, the last thing I want to cover, what are some things that you can do to reduce interruptions and drags on your time? There are four things: email, social media, apps on your phone, and just life in general. So, email is awful and it's thankfully swinging back. I read a couple books, and one of them this weekend was talking about, if you don't want so many emails, don't send so many emails. Pick up the phone and have a conversation. I was like, not a bad idea. In our agency, we rely on email last. It is not the primary mechanism. Slack, a lot of Slack, so maybe Slack and email are in the same channel, but we really try to emphasize quick messages. We have specific set touch point times for topics. So we can just tag everything we want to talk about in that meeting next Thursday. And then we have an agenda from our project management. Figure out a way to manage your email. Don't look at it 100 times a day, it will distract you. Don't look at it first thing in the morning. Take care of yourself first. Eat a healthy meal, get some water, move your body. If you have regular emails from a certain individual, maybe a weekly meeting would be a better way to do that. They will come prepared, you will come prepared. You can tackle that kind of stuff and avoid a lot of back forth, back forth, back forth. Again, sometimes email is necessary because of the time urgency or the timeliness of it. That's great. But do evaluate your use of email. Social media. What are, what, how are you using social media and how often are you going there? In our world, customer experience and marketing, all of that, we have to pay attention to social media. But even though we manage probably 100 social media channels, we are on it constantly. It's so easy to sit down with my phone after work, on every break, at lunch, whatever, and just scroll. And that is a huge time suck, huge time suck. If you're finding that every time you're not at work or on a break that you are scrolling social, maybe take it off your phone and only do it from your desktop. Maybe that feels totally extreme. That's okay. Maybe give yourself a block of time twice a day that you look, and then leave it alone, because social media and the amount of stuff coming at us is going to drain our time. I forgot with email, I'm going back one thing. Set rules on your emails. If you have specific things from Emily that are needed always for this manager's meeting, make a rule that anything from Emily goes into this folder. Then when you have that block on your schedule and you're ready to prepare for manager's meeting, you open up all those emails and have everything you need in one place. It's a really easy way to manage your emails and to make sure that you are fielding the right things. If you're on 1,000 email lists from a white paper you downloaded, unsubscribe. Just get stuff out of your periphery because it will distract your attention. And then the next thing is apps. What are the extra apps on your phone that just distract you? For me, I am on the computer all day, every day. Some days my eyes are so red and I have blue light glasses and I'm doing all the things, and my posture gets slumpy and, it makes my back hurt, all of that. And then sometimes, especially this time of year with all the football playoffs and all that, my husband's a huge sports fan, then we'll just sit again. After sitting all day, we'll sit again to watch all these sports. And so I started downloading games on my phone just because I don't really care about the game, but I'm there present with him playing. Well, what I realized was it's like 4 hours of game time on a phone. My eyes are burning now. I need to not be on screens. And if it's on there, I'll just futz with it. So, deleted the apps off of my phone. I leave my phone in the other room so that it's not just right there for mindless scrolling. That I'm not present with my husband. I'm not present in relationship and conversation, and I'm not enjoying and investing in relationship when I'm on my phone constantly. So just ask yourself, are there apps that are distracting you at work or out of work? And then the last thing is that in your life, the choices in your life, you get to be intentional about what matters to you. And if you don't prioritize yourself at work and take control of your schedule, you will be stressed and that will ooze into all of your life. If you find yourself working every night, weekends, you're on call all the time, you're on vacation, all that, stop and ask yourself, is this really necessary for me to engage right now? My clients in our agency, we don't answer emails at night and weekend. We won't. I will see some of them come in and I know it's not urgent. If they're like, I need to answer right away, I'll be like, okay, we'll take care of this first thing on Monday. We are very intentional about a boundary on that because we know we can't bring our best for our clients, for each other, if we are thin and this deep. We are intentional about time off, about honoring our health and our relationships so that when we come to work, we have our very full schedules, we work hard, we accomplish the priorities we need to, and we do great work for our clients because when we're not at work, we're not at work. Now, maybe you're thinking that's impossible. Maybe, but I would challenge you that you might be part of the reason that's happening more than you're willing to let on. So you get to decide on your life. You get to decide. Be intentional, mean it, set your boundaries, own your schedule, prioritize your time better, be careful about who you give your energy away to and your time away to. And I can promise you that if you get a hold of this, it will be a enormous foundation upon which you will be promotable. If you're running by the seat of your pants and sliding in at the last minute on everything, you're going to look disheveled and unorganized, and people won't trust that you can do it. So get a hold of this and it will help you in all of your career. I hope that this was helpful. If you have questions, connect with me, Sally at clarity-px.com or on CXA Accelerator Slack. I'd love to hear your questions and thoughts. I believe in you. I'm cheering for you. And I believe that this is a key, a critical key to bringing your own chair to the table and to being acknowledged, elevated, and successful as a professional in customer experience.